Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to talk on CSS transformation, CSS transition, and CSS animation properties. Okay, so in CSS, we have so many functions. Okay, we have almost 9 functions to transform the elements. Means what? Whenever you have to translate the elements, you have to move the elements from its normal position. We will use translate function. If you want to rotate the element, we will use rotate function. If you want to change the scale, okay, the scale is nothing but size. Okay, with respect to size, we will use the scale function. We can change the scale function to double or triple the size. Skew function is used to tilt the element with respect to horizontal and vertical axis. Matrix is a function which accept scale, skew, and rotate function values inside. Means all the properties of or all the functions of transformation are together we can use by using matrix function. Okay, later on I will discuss CSS transition. So transition is used when an event occur. It should change the property of element slowly or gradually. Okay, so in that case means I can give the timing, what time it should take for the complete transition, and for that purpose we have property called transition delay. Okay, first we have to declare the what property should be transformed. Means transition happens with which property, so we can mention that property. With respect to that, multiple properties we can use. There is a something called a transition timing function. Transition timing function is related to how your transitions to should happen. Means it should start fast, it should start slow, or it should end slow, or it should be at constant speed. Okay, this is what defined by using transition function. Transition delay is nothing but how much time your transition property should wait before it start. That is what the transition delay. And at last we are going to discuss here CSS animation. Okay, and for that purpose we have to declare the animation name. Okay, I will say everything on this, how these properties work, how to declare. And later on, we have animation duration, animation delay, animation iteration count, animation direction, animation timing function, animation fill mode, and animation is a shorthand property for all these above properties, animation related properties. So we will start with transformation now, how these transformation properties works. Okay, so translate here, translate is a function. Translate is a function, and let me say, okay, I will remove everything from this. Okay, so now let's say I have a div. Okay, this div I have, and if I wanted to move the div from its normal position, what I need to do? Okay, I will say trans. Okay, not translate, I will give the width. Width is okay, it is fine. 200 pixel is also sufficient. Then height I will take for 150 pixel. And now I will say border 2px solid. Okay, so this is how a element is sitting on our web page. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to translate this element from left side or right side. So this function, translate function, help us to move the element from its current position. Okay, so as for, I mean, so far what we were using, we were using either margin, padding, or position property. We have to say that this due for this due position as a absolute, right? Here I will say position or position as a relative, and later after that I would be able to use the left right properties or top and bottom properties to align the element or to move the element. Instead of that, we have something called transformation now. And transform property, inside the transformation, you have to say translate function. Okay. And when you say translate function, you have to give the values of two sides. Means first one will be a left side and second one will be top side. Again, I will say move the element by 100 pixel and again by 100 pixel. And here you can see that that element will get translated from top and left side by 100 pixel each. And if I say here 200 pixel, so it will be moved by 200 pixel from left side. So this is how translate property works. It's very easy to use the transformation, and we have to use the translate property for the any specific element to move the element from its normal position. Okay, now this is about the translation. So using this translate or transform property, with translate function we can move element anywhere on our web page and it will not affect the height and width of parent. Okay, so now let's say I will say here as a web jam. Okay, to just to show you. And now I will add background color also. Background color. Okay, I will say brown. And for H3, I will say color. Okay, and on brown, what color will be better to use? Okay, so I will say this color. Now my element is sitting here like this. Now what I wanted to do, instead of transformation or translate, I can say that translate or rotate the element. So I will use the rotate function. Okay, and inside the rotate I have to mention the angle. It means at what angle it should. So let's say if you have a circle, right? If you have a circle, that circle is of 360 degree, and out of 360 degree you have to say any degree, and that element will be rotated by that amount of degree. I will say 45 degree. When I use the positive degree, it will rotate clockwise. Okay, so now you can see that that element is rotated clockwise. If I use the negative degree here, then that element will be rotated in anti-clockwise direction. So this is how rotate function we can use in transformation. Next, we have a function called skew. Sorry, not skew. Before that, we have a scale. So what is the scale? Scale is used to change the size of element. Let's say what I will do, instead of changing the size here, I will say I wanted to change the size using scale. So I will use the scale property. Okay, and with respect to scale, first I have to say double or triple. I will say triple my width. First, scale size, you have to give the number how many times that element should be changed. Okay, means height and width. should be changed. And I will say triple by height. So first one is for width, second one is for height. And if I go here and if I refresh here, you can see that the element is transformed. Okay, height and width is changed. If you want to change only width or height, you can change it. Let me bring to the normal position. Okay, and if you say scale x, scale x will change only width of that element. I will say 3. And you will be seeing here that element width is changed 3 times. Okay, similarly if I say scale y, it will change the height, and here you can see that the height is changed. So this is how scale property works. Now what is the use of skew property or skew function? So skew will tilt with respect to horizontal axis, or it will tilt with respect to vertical axis. So if you want to tilt the element with respect to horizontal axis, you must use skew x property. So I will say skew x, and here I can mention degree as a 90. Okay, I am just randomly taking numbers and it is gone. Oh, let me take now 45 degree. Let me take now 45 degree, and if I go here and if I refresh, you can see that the element is tilted with respect to horizontal axis by 45 degree. If you want to tilt the element with vertical axis, you can use skew y, and you will see the effect here. This is how skew property help us. If you want to give the both, you just have to use the skew only, and you will say, or I will say 45 degree with horizontal, 45 degree with vertical axis, it should tilt. And here you can see 45 45, that element is in the, I mean, they tilted in such a way that it is not appearing. So instead of 45, I will say 10. Okay, and you can see that the element. Okay, so this is how skew property works. And with respect to translate, I discussed, rotate, scale discussed, skew discussed. Last one is a matrix property. Okay, and matrix is a method or a function which allow us to combine all the 2D transformation methods into one. Okay, what it accept then? When I say matrix, okay, when I say here as a matrix I will call, and with respect to matrix, first property is given here, or first value is given here as a scale x. So I don't want to change the scale, that's why I'm using 1. Later on, if you want to change the angle with respect to y, you have to say here second parameter is skew y. So skew y, I will say yes, or minus 0.3, any value. Okay, this will automatically take in percentage. Later on, you have to say that skew x. Okay, if you want, I don't want any changes in a skew x, means it should not get tilt with the horizontal axis. So I said 0. Later on, I have to say, or I have to declare here scale y, means what it should change with vertical height, whether it should change or not. So if I don't want to change, I will use 1 here. Okay, later on, I have to say translate X, translate Y. So I can say here 100 pixel, it should translate, and 100 pixel from top side or Y side. This is how properties are given, and the element will looks like this. Okay, so matrix, let's say, I will say 1 here or 1 here. Why this doesn't work? Okay. So in the pixel, I don't have to say the values. I have to say values in normal number format. When I use, or whenever you will use the matrix, you don't have to mention degree and all here. Use the value between 0 to 1. Okay, with respect to scale, you can use any value 2, 3, 4, 5 scale X, and here we have mentioned the scale Y. So this is how matrix function works. Now, if you want to rotate the element, okay, if you want to rotate the element vertically, horizontally, or in a 3-dimensional, we have something called, or we have a function that is of rotate X. If I say rotate X and I will say here that 90 degree, you will see the element is rotating in X direction, it is going up. Okay, if I change 90 to 45 degree, so it will be appearing on screen. Otherwise, that element is gone from screen, means it is getting rotated in a such a way that it will not be appear. So if you want to show what I can do here, I wanted to add margin from all side, and I will say 300 pixel just to show you how it works. Okay, let me declare as it as a 90 degree. Okay, still it is getting, means what is happening, that element is on, it's like it is getting rotated by 90 degree, means that element is a horizontal element, and that horizontal element will not appear. If I say 100 degree, you will see that element is rotated here, right? So you have to imagine that what is happening. So whenever I am saying rotate the element by 90 degree, what is happening, that element is getting tilted in a such a way that this line will be appear to us. That's why it's invisible element. Its element is there, but it will not be visible. And if I say 180 degree and refresh the page, you will see that the element is rotated through the 180 degree. That's why you are able to see the element in this way. If you want to rotate the element with respect to y-axis, you can say here, and that element will be rotated vertically. Later on, if you want to change the element with respect to, or if you want to rotate the element with respect to 180 degree with z-axis, that element will be appeared here. So this is how a 3D transformation works. It depends upon the situation, what rotate function you need to use, you can use. But you will feel that whenever we use the z-axis rotation, it will move the element, or it will change the position of element in diagonal. When we use vertical axis, it will just rotate the element with horizontal. That's why that web charm should reflect here, and if we use horizontally, it should come down towards bottom side. So this is how transformation property works. Okay, now we have to make the transition. Okay, so how to make the transition? To make the transition, you have to declare the property. What property you have to declare? First, you have to declare the what property transition you have to do. Okay, and I will say transition, and I wanted to change the transition. Transition means what property you need to change when that event is happen. Okay, we need to mention the event. Okay, first, so I will say width. Okay, and transition property, I will say transition property is width. Later on, I will say transition timing or transition duration. Transition duration is 5 seconds. So this width changing from 200 pixel to whatever the size we will mention in the event. Okay, and what I will do, I will go here and I will mention transition property. So to make the transition happens, you have to say when my cursor is over the div, change the width. So we have already declared width should be changed. So I have to declare here width. But what would be the value after the transition? Okay, what would the value? What would be the value of width? And if I will say 400 pixel, so what it will do? It will change the width of this div element from 200 pixel to 400 pixel in 5 seconds. Okay, and if I go here and if I refresh, you can see that the transition is happening. When I move out my mouse on that div, it will return its position. Okay, and this is how transition works. And if I reduce the time, you will see the difference. It will go fast. Okay, let me refresh, and this is how it works. Right. So this is a transition. Okay, and in transition, you have to declare what property transition you have to do and how much time it should take by using transition property and transition duration. Okay, after that we have something called transition delay. If I want this transition should wait at least for few seconds, means okay, transition delay, and I will say 2 seconds. So when I over the mouse, now you can see that it is getting started, but I want this should wait. So that's that purpose I have added transition delay. I will refresh and I will over the mouse, and now it will get started, meaning it will wait for the 2 second time and then it should start. Now you can see that I will over the mouse and it is started now. If I remove the mouse immediately, it will not start. It will wait for 2 seconds and then it will start. So this is how transition delay property works. Now there is something called transition timing function. Okay, so I will say transition timing function. So with respect to transition timing function, we have many values. So first value is ease. This is the default value. Means what it will do, it will make the transition start slowly and it end slowly. Both will be end and start will be slow. So as normal, we have seen that okay, in the middle of transition the speed is high, at the end speed will be decreased, at the start speed will be low. Okay, and if you change this to linear, okay, if you change this to linear, what it will do, it will make the transition with uniform speed. Means entire transition will work with same speed. Okay, Then we have properties called is in out. Is in means slow start, fast end. I will refresh and you can see here the effect slowly start but ended fasted. Slowly started and ended fasted. Okay, this is how if I say is out, you will observe that transition will end slowly but started fast. And you can observe the difference. Okay, so this is how transition property work. And there is a shortcut for transition to give all these four properties. So that is only transition. Okay, and you have to say transition. Okay, and I can remove these properties. But sequentially, whatever the property we have given on top, we have to give the property one by one. So sequence is first you have to say what is the transition property. So I will say width. Later on, I will say duration. Okay, duration is let's say 3 seconds. Okay, and then you have to say that transition timing function, and then what should be the delay. If delay is not there, you can say 0 second. If delay is there, you can say 1 second. And now you can see that this property will all the full properties we have mentioned in one line by using shorthand property, that is a transition. So this is what we can use, and it's always good to use this, but you should remember that what arguments or what are the property values we should pass, or what is the sequence to pass the transition property values inside transition shorthand. So this is what we have seen with respect to only one property. If you want to change the height also, if you want to change the color also, you can mention that property. And I will say background color. Okay, I wanted to change the background color from background. Okay, background color. So what I will do, I will copy this. We can change multiple property here. I will say background color. Space background color should take 3 seconds, but is in your by default it should take. Okay, I will mention is, and it should take a delay of 1 second. So both the transition should happen with at the same time. What I will do, but okay, but whenever you declare the color or background property here, you need to mention that property here, and I will say background color should be green or green yellow. Okay, this is what the transition should happen with respect to color and width, and it will start in 1 second, and you can see that the color is changing. Similarly, you can change any property. Okay, and any number of properties you can mention for the transition by using a comma, or separate the properties by using comma. I will say height I wanted to change in 3 seconds, and okay, after that I will say use, or whatever the transition timing function you want to use, you can use. I will say ease in, ease out, whatever you want to use, and timing should be 3 seconds. Or if you want to change the timing for the height only, you can change. There will not be any restrictions. Okay, it's not like that every transition property should have the same timing. I will say 5 seconds. Means to change the height it should take 5 seconds. Okay, it automatically do that changes. Means it will work accordingly whatever you values you have passed here. And now I have to refresh the page and I will start the transition. Okay, height is not working because I forgot to add the height here, and I will say height. And for this height, okay, what I will do, I will not give directly height, I will use the scale function. Okay, and here you will observe that scale y, and scale y is double. Okay, so I'm just saying here that change the height or double the height. So it is not taking. Okay, something might be. Okay, this is the transformation property. I have to say here we will use the transform. I tried to use the transform here, and if you want to change the height by using transform property, we will see how to use the transition and transform together. Okay, what is happening or what's wrong with height? Did I mention anything wrong here? Nope. It should take 3 second transition timing. Okay, transition timing delay I have given for 5 seconds. That's why it is not working. I need to wait until it, I mean, 5 seconds gets over and then this transition will start. Okay, so this is how transition works. If you want to work transition and transformation together, here you can say that transform property you have to say transform. Okay, even though I have not mentioned there, what I will do, I will use here transform and I will say scale y, and scale y should change by 3 times. Okay, and it will start after 5 seconds. So first, within 3 to 4 seconds, first transitions will be changed and later on the scale is changed, right? So this is how transition and transformation can be worked together. So as many as property you want, you can use here. You can see that it is returning to its original position the moment I remove my cursor from the div. Okay, so now we have something called animation. Okay, and let's see how animation works. Similarly, it's very similar to a transition as we have seen. So first you need to mention the animation name. Later on you have to say how much time it this animation should take. Then animation delay, it's like transition delay. Then what property or animation iteration count is used, that how many times that animation should be repeated. Animation direction, either forward or reverse direction or alternate direction, we can mention animation timing function as like we have seen for the transition. Is in, is out, linear and is in out, these are the timing function values. Then animation fill mode is there. Okay, fill mode is nothing but what would be the final properties of that div after completion of animation. If you say forward, it will take the properties of that div after finishing up the value or the properties that div has. Okay, and animation is a shorthand for all these properties. We will see one by one. And what is a keyframe, I will say. So first thing what you need to do, you need to mention, like here we have created event. With respect to animation, we don't need to create event. Instead of that, what you have to say, you have to say first. Okay, I will close the bracket here. You have to give the animation name. I will say animation name demo animation. Okay, and so at least these two properties are required. Animation duration, I will say 5 seconds. Okay, now what or how to start means animation and transition, it's look very similar. The difference is that for transition, I have to create an event or I have to move my mouse over that element, but animation do not require any action. It will start automatically. Okay, and for that purpose you have to say at keyframe. Okay, and identifier means name of animation. Here you have to give an animation name is demo, and properties and all. What are means in transition, we at least we had to mention the what properties you wanted to change. But in case of animation, you do not need to mention earlier that what property. You have to say that for this div there is an animation called demo, and at keyframe is block. Okay, it allows you to define the animation property, means what it should change. Okay, and first thing means from which property. Here you have to mention only from which property to which property changes should happen. So I will say from. Okay, and background color. What is the background color? Background color is brown. It's not like that. Whatever the color mentioned we here in the div, it should be the same. Okay, here I can pick any other color also. I will say this color. When animation gets started, now automatically this color will reflect as a starting color. Later on, at the end, animation color. Okay, oh sorry, not animation, background color, and here that color should turns into orange color, or yes, dark orange color, I will say. So this transition should happen. Again, animation is a kind of transition, right? But here we do not need to create an event, or we do not need to over the mouse on that element. So you can see that that transition animation is happening automatically. The moment you refresh, it will automatically refresh. Again, if I refresh the page, it will automatically change the color, whatever the property you mentioned there. If you want to go through the multiple colors, yes, it is possible. Instead of, okay, if you want to change, I will talk on first multiple properties. Okay, if you want to change the height and width, yes, from height I am saying that 150 pixel. Instead of that, it should turns into height to 300 pixel. Now I will refresh, and you can see that it is automatically, means nothing. I don't need to do anything. Animation will start automatically. Transition we need to start by hovering our mouse or at specific what event. Later on, I have a property called animation duration. Okay, so I will add animation. Sorry, animation duration. We have added animation delay. I wanted to add. I will say 2 seconds. It should wait, or for it should wait for the 5 seconds. Okay, and I will refresh. Okay, it will wait for 5 seconds and then animation will start. Okay, so this is how animation delay property works. If you want to change the background color, or if you want to change the height or any property by percentage of, means what percentage means. Percentage indicates it's 0% means starting position, and 100% means end position. Okay, and between that, if you want to change the that property into 25%, if you want to change the property at 50%, okay, and if you want to change the property at 75%, you can change, right? Now I will say at this moment my background color should be brown. Okay, it is like normal color whatever we have given default background color. So now I wanted to change that background color into the aqua, and at 50% of transition my background color should change to blue. Okay, and again at 75% of transition, it is means percentage of timing, whatever the duration we have given, accordingly it will change. Okay, and background color I have to say, okay, here I will say from blue to chocolate, and at last it will say background color. Okay, now you can see that it will change. I mean, background color will change through all that 5 colors: blue, orange, and this. So this is how multiple color we can use. You can use 0% to and any percentage of your color. If you want to make the transition faster, reduce the animation duration. I will say 1 second now. And now here you can see that the transition will start after 5 seconds, but it is much faster. Now the thing is that, or we have something called animation iteration count. Okay, I will first talk on animation timing function. So that is different. Okay, ease and ease in, ease out, that properties are there. If you want to see, I will show you animation timing function. And if I say linear, okay, so it will, I mean, entire animation will be at constant speed. And 1 second. Okay, I will refresh so that it will start immediately. And here you can see. So after that, we have something called animation iteration count. Okay, and how many times this animation should repeated, that I have to mention by using this property. So I will say animation iteration count. Okay, and here I will say infinite. The moment I say infinite, it animation will never stop, it will continue. Okay, as long as you can wait, or your content is rendering, or your page is open, animation will continue. It will not stop. If you want to perform only two counts, or two times animation should be repeated, here you can see that animation is getting repeated. Now what I will do, instead of changing the color, I will move the element from its position. So what I will do, I will say left property I will use. And okay, not a letter spacing, I will say left initially at a very first stage, it should have initial left 0 and top 0, right? Later on, I have to add this property to all these five. I wanted to move the element from its normal position in square direction. So for that purpose, I am doing this. So how to move the element first? Okay, I will say 0 0 0 at the end. I mean, at the start, I'm defining this property. Later on, I will change. On second stage means on 25 per fifth 25th% of my animation time, that my element should take left side. I mean, it should move by 100 pixel from left side, but it should be remain at top. Means this element should take 100 pixel, okay, from left side, but it should remain at the top. Means, okay, what I am doing, we have taken margin here, I will remove that margin so you can see that. And my element will move from its position, but now it is not moving. Why it is not moving, I will tell. So next stage, I want that it should be at remain position and left 100 pixel, and it should be at top 100 pixel. Means it should move vertically down. Later on, it should move horizontally to left. So for that purpose, I will say 0, left is 0, top should be 100 pixel. And at last, again, it moves back to its original position. That is what the left 0, top 0. So this is how properties I have given. But this animation will not start, because why? The left top or bottom right property works when we declare the position, and I will say position relative. And now you can see that this element is moved in this way. Okay, so what I have said here, I have said the element, not element, okay, the animation iteration count is twice. So instead of that, I will say infinite, and this movement will never stop. Okay, so now you are seeing that this element, this block is moved in clockwise direction. This is the default. I wanted to change the direction, I will say animation direction. Okay, and animation direction, here we will have two values. First is normal. Okay, that is what the happening, it is moving in clockwise direction. Later on, I will say reverse direction. So here you will see that it will move in anti-clockwise direction. If I want this animation should happens, so I in alternate directions, I will say alternate reverse. Okay, and you can see that it will go first by forward and later by reverse direction. So this is how it works. And if you have to say alternate reverse or alternate only, if you say that if first it will move in forward or normal direction, later on it will move in reverse direction. Both are looks same, but it is just a difference between how it should start, whether in reverse direction or in normal direction. That is what the alternate timing. Okay, and now we have animation fill mode. That is the last property. What I will do, everywhere I will mention the color so that I will show you the difference. Okay, background color, at first it should be brown. Okay, and background color, okay, I will pick any colors randomly. It's not necessary to have any specific order. Okay, background color, I will change background color here also. Blue violet, and background color at last is okay, this. And now you can see that it will change the color. Okay, it will also rotate. So as many properties you will mention, that much properties will be changed during the animation. So now what I want, when my animation stops, okay, I will say 1. When my animation stop, what properties means what background color should remains with animation, means this div, either it should be a brown or it should be a coral. Okay, so that is what defined by using animation fill mode. I will say animation fill mode forward. Okay, and by default it is forward, no, not forward, by default it is backward. So it was returning these properties or these properties, but now it will not return. Okay, after the animation, the whatever the last keyframe, okay, last keyframe block has a property, that properties will remain same, or that properties will be stored as a final property for that div after finishing the element. If I say backward, you will see that it will return this color, brown color, or I will make the difference here. I will say green color first. Default color is green color. And now you can see that it is returning to the green color. Okay, so this is how it, I mean, this back animation fill mode works, either in backward direction or in forward direction. So this is all about the animation properties. If you want to mention the property in 2 blocks, 2 keyframes, you can use from and to. If you want to you give the multiple properties, you can use percentage wise, 0%, 25%, 50%. If you want to split this percentage into more or 10, 20, okay, so you can take 0, 5%, 10%, 15%. So accordingly that properties will be changed. Okay, now last property is I would like to discuss here is animation shorthand property. So what animation shorthand property should accept on what is the sequence for animation shorthand? So for animation shorthand, we have a sequence of, first you should give the animation name. I will say animation here, and I will say animation name as a demo. Okay, so I will comment out all these animation property. I want only this property to be remains in the active state. So I will comment out all animation properties from this block. And now here I will add animation, all animation properties in one line. That is the shorthand. Later on, I have to say timing for animation, I mean animation duration, I will say okay, so animation duration is 2 seconds. After that, animation timing function I have to mention, I will say is okay, this is a default. Then animation, what animation delay should be, so you have to say that time. Later on you have to say whether what is the animation iteration count. So animation iteration count, if you want to say infinite, okay, it will be infinite, or anything, I mean you 2 1 2 3 4, whatever the number of times you have to repeat the animation, you can say that count. And at last you have to say animation direction, means how animation should start, either in normal direction or in reverse direction. So I will say reverse direction. And here you will say that this color would reflect first and brown color will come at last when animation started. Okay, and this is the animation reverse direction. Animation is started in anti-clockwise direction. This is how shorthand property of animation. So I would like to conclude this video here, and with respect to transformation, we have discussed the translate function, rotate function, scale function, skew function, and matrix function. With respect to transition, we have discussed what is the transition name, transition property name, transition delay, what is the transition duration, what is the transition timing function. With respect to animation, I have discussed what is a keyframe, okay, then what is, or how to declare animation name, animation duration, animation delay, animation iteration count, animation direction, what is the animation timing function, and how animation fill mode plays a role. And at last, we have discussed animation shorthand property. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day.